It doesn't even have automatic signals and switches for through freight trains. It serves the metropolitan area of northern New Jersey and New York City.
One end of the yard, the west end of the yard, freight trains coming in off of the main line. It's handled by a switch tender, manual operated switches. Only one train at a time can move through the switches at Waverly 5. The maintenance of the track has cut us down to where freight trains passing through the Waverly complex are limited to 5 miles an hour along the side of the yard here. There's one move being made through the switches at Waverly 5. Everything slows down if it does not stop. We have to flat switch in 3 different areas in the yard to handle the volume of the cars that come through Waverly. We try to put 27 classifications in on 20 tracks that range in length from 40 car lengths down to 4 car lengths long. We end up spending a lot of the day rehandling cars, picking up cars that possibly are derailed due to the maintenance that's in here. Over my left shoulder, we have an industrial lead of approximately 25 to 30 consignees that's on the other side of the passenger main from Philadelphia or Washington through to New York. If a car arrives on the right-hand side of the yard over here, the car is rehandled approximately 3 times to get to the other side of the yard and onto the consignee siding. We're talking about approximately 24 to 36 hours from the time the car actually arrives until it's in a position for the industrial crew to shove up the number 5 track on the other side into the consignee siding. It's a little tough to explain to a consignee why it takes 36 hours to move a car 100 yards.
There are some classification yards on our system where we don't have to apologize for delays. Yards improved or rebuilt when we had funds to do it. They're examples of efficiency that show how our yards can and should perform.
This is the Penn Central Niagara Yard in Niagara Falls, New York. It's a flat switching yard comprised of 7 receiving tracks, 28 classification tracks, 2 main tracks for both east and westbound traffic through Canada to the west. We can receive trains through freight trains on our main tracks or on the north side of our yard and continue our switching operation on the south side of the yard without interference. It's a good yard. It's better than what was previously here. With the clearances we have, with the easy grade on our switching lead, this is a very efficient operation for a flat switching yard.
I feel it's much more a better production here in this yard. You're not handling the cars over and over like we used to in the other yard, for one thing. I don't feel that we're doing any more work. We're handling more cars with less work, I think, and it's much better. I mean, it's much safer, a lot better than it was. We appreciate that.
This is the result of deferred maintenance. Tracks so badly in need of repair that we risk derailment and perhaps human lives every time we run trains over it. Since we have to use it, because we have no funds for repair, we run our trains at reduced speeds, often 8 or 10 miles per hour. This is one of scores of branch and secondary lines which contribute to the 8,400 miles of bad track in the Penn Central system. It's the Petersburg Secondary, which runs between Indianapolis and Evansville, Indiana, through an area with important bituminous coal reserves. It cannot be abandoned because it serves a vital public purpose, particularly in the energy crisis.
This line serves Indianapolis Power and Light and provides about 90% of the coal for the Indianapolis Power and Light Company.
The first thing would be to get some decent rail on this line. Then we'd have to get, after we got the rail on, we'd have to renew all the bad ties and, of course, clean the ballast to eliminate these mud conditions.
When I first started on this line here, it was 30-mile-an-hour track, and now it's down to 10 mile an hour.
If you get over 10 miles an hour, you get a pretty dangerous ride. You have a lot on probably you're ready to jump the track at that.
I feel a lot safer. It was better. We could run faster, get over the road better. It seems like a shame to leave a revenue train out for 3 days when it could be over the road in 10 hours.
from 10 miles an hour in southern Indiana to 50 miles an hour in western Ohio. This is also a secondary line, but it has a relatively new roadbed with welded rail and has not had time to deteriorate from deferred maintenance. Amid the spreading decay of the Penn Central network, it stands as a vivid reminder that with first-rate tracks, road operations could be efficient, speedy, and profitable. The main lines of Penn Central are the railroad's most vital arteries for commerce, industry, and agriculture in America's Midwest and Northeast. Some are still in good condition because of fairly recent improvements. Our Mohawk Valley route between Albany and Utica, New York, where we can run on a solid roadbed, typifies our potential for transportation service. It does not, however, typify our mainline tracks. Metroliners speeding between New York and Washington offer the nation's best passenger service. It cost more than $30 million to rebuild the passenger tracks for high-speed operation. But the Northeast Corridor has track problems for the movement of freight. Take, for example, the route of our freight trains around Wilmington, Delaware.
We really have, in effect, a single track here because of the restrictions on the two bridges.
While one train uses the bridge, others have to be held back waiting for clearance.
And it's always in trouble. You can't lock it up, can't open it. And it's rough going over it with trains. It doesn't feel very nice. You see the train coming down and the car's rocking, him doing normal speed. Makes me feel like running out of here before he gets here.
Nearly 5,000 miles of our main lines are infected with the disease of deferred maintenance.
This is the main line between Columbus and Chicago, Columbus and St. Louis, made freight line. Between Columbus and Bradford, my territory, there's about 72 miles. I have about 30 slow orders at 30 miles an hour, and I have 7 at 10 miles an hour.
I don't like running on this track. It's too rough. I think it's unsafe to run on. The rail is good, but there just isn't any roadbed underneath it. You don't build highways on mud, and that's what this has done.
Well, we got the equipment. They're talking about new equipment, you know, passenger equipment, which I think is fine, but of course we don't know nothing about passenger. We're freight men. But we got the equipment to take these trains across the track 100 miles an hour right now. We don't need, we got the engines that'll do it. We just need something under that track to run on. It stands for reason that you can have the best equipment. If you don't have nothing to run on, you're not going to go.
I'd like to rebuild it from the bottom up. I need men, rail ties, and equipment to do it well.